You're listening to The Deep Dive, where we take your sources and pull out the most important insights to help you get well-informed quickly. Today, we're diving into a really transformative look at how our modern lifestyle impacts our brain and our body. What if a significant shift in perspective could unlock some profound improvements in your health?
We're going to unpack the core ideas from neurologist David Perlmutter's book, The Grain-Brain Whole Life Plan. And this isn't just another diet book, it's much broader. It's a comprehensive framework that connects the dots between what we eat, our gut health, genetics, even our emotional well-being. It's really about understanding your body as this remarkably intelligent, self-regulating system.
Right. So our mission in this deep dive is to extract those key nuggets from the pages, highlight some truly surprising facts, maybe challenge some assumptions, and help you understand the core principles of this whole lifestyle, from battling chronic inflammation to transforming how you approach food and self-care. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's see what might be possible for you. Let's start with a bit of a sobering reality check from the source material. It highlights something pretty stark. In developed Western nations, diet-related diseases now kill more people than accidents, murder, terrorism, war, and all other non-diet-related diseases.
Well, combined, that's a heavy statistic.
It really is. And when you think about what that includes, things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, dementia, many types of cancer, directly linked back to diet. It's alarming.
And it's not just the physical side, is it? The book really emphasizes how deeply mental health is impacted, too. Over 26% of adults in the U.S. suffer from a diagnosable mental illness and depression. It's actually a leading cause of disability worldwide. That's huge. Even headaches are the #1 ailment globally, with, 10% of Americans suffering from debilitating migraines?
Right. And the author, being a neurologist, talks about his early frustration with what he called the diagnose and adios approach.
Yeah, exactly, where effective treatments for so many brain disorders just weren't really available. It was frustrating for him professionally.
And I think many of us can relate to that tendency, that human urge to seek a quick fix, maybe a prescription when something feels off.
Definitely.
But this deep dive really challenges that idea. It suggests true, lasting health involves, a deeper commitment, real effort to change daily lifestyle choices.
But it also promises, and this is key, that once you start making those changes, the positive results can build motivation really quickly. You start feeling better, and that fuels further effort.
Makes sense. Momentum builds.
And that commitment to a holistic view, it really deepened for the author through a pretty profound personal experience. In early 2016, he suffered the sudden, tragic loss of a close friend. And then, almost immediately after, he had his own medical crisis. Landed him in the ICU.
Wow, that's intense. Back to back like that.
Yeah. And that intensely personal event, he says, it radically changed his perspective. It taught him firsthand about the perils of stress, but also about the profound, almost healing power of love and connection. It fundamentally reinforced his belief that health goes way beyond just what we eat and how much we exercise.
It adds that whole other dimension.
Exactly. He even shares this moving passage from How Yoga Works about maintaining a constant, modest, joyful state of mind, which is always looking for ways to protect others from harm. That really stuck with him.
That personal journey and that sort of profound shift in understanding, it clearly shaped the blueprint he lays out in the book. Which leads us nicely into the main goals of this program. It's not just one thing, is it? The plan outlines 6 core goals. Reduce and control inflammation. Turn your body into a fat-burning machine. Balance gut bacteria. Balance hormones, take control of your genes, and balance your life overall.
It's a really comprehensive list, and they're all interconnected.
So let's look at each piece. Where do we start?
Let's start with Pillar 1, which the book really positions as a cornerstone, controlling inflammation. One of the most kind of paradigm-shifting ideas highlighted is that chronic systemic inflammation isn't just a symptom. It's presented as the fundamental cause of most degenerative conditions and diseases, including being overweight and even being at risk for brain dysfunction. It's the root.
Okay, the root cause. And here's something that really jumped out at me, something that might surprise listeners. The book argues inflammation doesn't just affect your body physically, it profoundly impacts your mood too.
That's right. New science, it explains, suggests mood disorders, even severe depression, might actually be rooted in this underlying inflammation, rather than solely being about, say, chemical imbalances in the brain, which is the more traditional view.
So, for people who've always thought of depression purely as a chemical thing,
Yeah.
how does the book frame this inflammatory link? Is it saying medication isn't needed, or is it just Another piece of the puzzle.
It's definitely presented as another critical piece of the puzzle, like a foundational piece. The argument is that addressing inflammation offers this fundamental strategy for mental well-being. It could work alongside other approaches, or maybe even be a prerequisite for them to work effectively. It's just a powerful new lens to view these conditions through.
Interesting. Okay, so inflammation is foundational. What's pillar two?
Pillar two is about becoming a fat-burning machine. And this really raises that big question, what is our body's optimal fuel source? The central idea here is that fat, not carbohydrate, is actually our metabolism's preferred fuel. It's a pattern supposedly established over, millennia of human evolution. Our ancestors apparently consumed maybe 10 times more fat than we do today.
10 times more. That feels so counterintuitive to everything we've been told for, like, the last 50 years.
Exactly. Decades of low-fat dogma, right?
Yeah. So the book firmly links obesity and metabolic issues to carb addiction, not dietary fat.
That's the argument. It explains that eating carbohydrates stimulates insulin release. And insulin, well, it aggressively promotes fat production, fat storage, and it simultaneously reduces your body's ability to burn fat for energy. Dietary fat, on the other hand, doesn't provoke that same strong insulin response.
Okay, so carbs trigger fat storage via insulin. Fat doesn't do that as much.
Right, and here's where it gets really provocative. The author makes this incredibly bold claim. The human dietary requirement for carbohydrate is virtually zero.
Wait, zero? Like none?
Virtually zero, yeah, think about that. For decades, we've heard carbs are essential fuel, the base of the pyramid. But Dr. Perlmutter argues our bodies are actually super efficient at making all the glucose the brain needs from protein and fat through a process called gluconeogenesis.
So it flips the whole food pyramid upside down.
Fundamentally, it suggests sugar, and the carbs that break down into sugar, that's the real culprit for our modern health crisis, not dietary fat. And this perspective extends to cholesterol, too.
Now, cholesterol, the other big villain, supposedly.
Right. The book highlights that eating high cholesterol foods actually has very little impact on your body's own cholesterol levels, and the whole assumed link between higher cholesterol levels and heart risk. It's seriously questioned in the book. It even points out that about 50% of the fat in human breast milk is saturated fat, kind of underscoring its natural role in development.
Okay, that breast milk stat is pretty compelling. And it feels like even official guidelines are maybe slowly starting to shift.
They are. You mentioned the U.S. government modified its 2015 dietary guidelines. They finally removed recommendations to limit cholesterol-rich foods. That was huge. They even acknowledged coffee might have health benefits.
A big change. And there's science backing this low-carb idea too, right?
Yeah, a significant 2014 Tulane University study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found a low-carb diet was way more effective for weight loss and reducing cardiovascular risk factors compared to a low-fat diet. People lost more weight, had smaller waistlines, better cholesterol profiles, the works.
So the bottom line for diet is high-fat, high-fiber, low-carb, eating like our ancestors, basically.
Pretty much. Eating like a hunter-gatherer, as the book puts it, realigning with our biology.
Okay. Fascinating. What's pillar three?
Pillar three is all about nurturing your microbiome, those trillions of microbes living in your gut. The book describes the microbiome as more like an organ than an accessory. It's fundamental to our physiology. Think of it as this bustling inner ecosystem, absolutely crucial to our health.
And its influence goes way beyond just digestion, right?
Oh, far beyond. The microbiome impacts your immune function, your inflammation levels, your risk for a huge range of illnesses. Everything from depression and obesity to MS, asthma, even cancer. The National Cancer Institute, for instance, has shown certain gut bacteria can actually reduce tumor growth and make anti-cancer therapies work better.
That's just incredible, the power residing in our gut.
And get this, it's even more mind-blowing. These microbes don't just influence our DNA activity, they've actually inserted their own genes into our human genetic code over evolutionary time.
Seriously. Our DNA has microbe DNA in it.
Apparently so. It's a massive area of research now. We're talking huge investments, like over $190 million from the NIH, a $500 million White House initiative. It's a big deal.
Wow. Okay, so clearly this inner organ is incredibly important. So how do we take care of it? How do we feed it properly?
Great question. The book focuses on two main things, prebiotics and probiotics. First, prebiotics. These are specific types of dietary fiber that we can't digest, but our good gut bacteria absolutely love. Think of them as fertilizer. The book actually says 100 grams of prebiotics can yield 30 grams of new bacteria.
Fertilizer for the gut garden. I like that analogy.
Exactly. And when the bacteria ferment these prebiotics, they produce beneficial compounds called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. These SCFAs are vital for keeping your intestinal lining healthy and boosting your immune system. Good food sources include things like leeks, sunchokes, Jerusalem artichokes, onions, garlic, asparagus. Acacia gum powder is also mentioned as a really safe and effective prebiotic supplement. Studies apparently show it can reduce BMI and body fat.
Okay, so feed the good guys with prebiotics. What about probiotics?
Probiotics are the beneficial live bacteria themselves. You get these from fermented foods, things like live cultured yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled vegetables, anything with live active cultures. The book even points to specific strains linked to different benefits, like Lactobacillus gasseri and rhamnosus for weight management, or Lactobacillus helveticus and Bifidobacterium longum for mood issues like depression.
So you can get quite targeted with it.
Potentially, yeah. It's an evolving field.
Okay, so we've talked about adding the good stuff. What about things to avoid for gut health? Gluten comes up a lot.
It does. Gluten is singled out as a major disruptor. It's said to trigger the release of a molecule called zonulin. And zonulin basically opens up the tight junctions between your gut lining cells. This creates what's often called a leaky gut.
Right, the leaky gut idea. So things leak out that shouldn't.
Exactly. Undigested food particles, toxins, they can leak into your bloodstream, and this triggers chronic inflammation systemically. The book flat out says this makes weight loss virtually impossible. Newer research from around 2015-2016 even suggests gluten's negative effects might start by messing with the microbiome itself. So the recommendation is pretty blunt: a complete eviction of gluten.
Total eviction, okay. And there was another big one mentioned, glyphosate.
Yes, glyphosate, the active ingredient in the herbicide Roundup. The author doesn't mince words, calling it the tobacco of the 21st century.
Ah, strong words.
Very. It's used heavily on many genetically modified crops, so it contaminates a lot of food. The book warns it's toxic to both the gut lining and the brain. It reportedly messes with vital functions like absorbing vitamin D, detoxification pathways, even making certain amino acids. It's apparently even been found in places you wouldn't expect, like hospital formula for kids.
That's concerning.
It is. So the advice is to be really vigilant about avoiding foods likely exposed to it, which strongly points towards choosing organic or verified non-GMO, especially for certain crops.
Right. Definitely makes you think more carefully about your food sources. Okay, that covers the microbiome. What about pillars 4 and 5? Hormones and genes.
Yeah, these are closely linked. Pillar 4 is balancing hormones. Your endocrine system, with its complex web of hormones, basically controls everything: mood, energy, hunger, metabolism, you name it. It's all about maintaining that delicate balance or homeostasis for optimal function. When hormones are out of whack, everything feels off.
Makes sense. Your internal messaging system needs to work right.
Precisely. And pillar 5 is taking control of your genes, which dives into the fascinating world of epigenetics. This is the science showing that your lifestyle choices, diet, stress, exercise, sleep, can actually change how your DNA behaves. It doesn't change the underlying genetic code itself, but it changes how your body reads and expresses those genes.
So your genes aren't necessarily your destiny.
Exactly. It means you have way more influence than we used to think. These epigenetic changes can impact your health, your longevity, and incredibly, even the health risks pass down to your children and grandchildren.
That is just wild. The ripple effect across generations.
It's profound, isn't it? And a key player mentioned here is a molecule called NRF2. Think of NRF2 as your body's internal stress detector and defense coordinator. When your cells experience oxidative stress or inflammation, NRF2 gets activated. It travels to the cell nucleus and switches on genes that produce powerful antioxidants and detoxification enzymes. Basically, it helps protect your cells and reduce inflammation. And practices like fasting are noted to really power up this pathway.
Okay, NRF2, the body's own protector. It really highlights how interconnected everything is.
Totally. It's not just about food, it's about the whole system.
Which brings us neatly to pillar 6, balancing your life. Because it's not just food.
Not at all. The source really stresses this. Diet is crucial, but you need other pieces. Movement and exercise are huge.
What's the recommendation there?
The goal suggested is 450 minutes of cumulative exercise per week. That works out to about an hour a day. And it's about mixing intensities, some high intensity, some moderate, but the real emphasis is on consistency and progress, not hitting some perfect ideal right away.
And didn't the author share a personal story about exercise? About his knee?
He did, yeah. a really powerful one. He had a debilitating knee pain, patellofemoral syndrome, couldn't even climb stairs without pain. But through specific, targeted exercises, he managed to overcome it completely. Went from struggling with stairs to climbing a 3,200-foot peak in New Zealand.
Wow, that really shows the body's capacity to heal with the right approach and the importance of listening to pain signals.
Absolutely. Then there's restful sleep, presented as absolutely essential, especially for brain health and revitalization.
Any specific tips mentioned?
Yeah, the usual suspects, but important ones. Avoid late caffeine, obviously. Be mindful of medications that might interfere. Create a good sleep environment, peaceful, tidy, dark, cool, around 65, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. No electronics in the bedroom. And establish pre-sleep routines, maybe a warm bath, reading a physical book, deep breathing. Melatonin, a low dose like 1-3 milligram, is mentioned as potentially helpful for resetting circadian rhythms if needed, but not as a long-term fix.
Okay, sleep hygiene is key. What about the emotional side? Relationships.
Hugely important in this plan. The book really highlights the power of gratitude. It describes gratitude almost like a muscle you can strengthen through practice. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes, feeding cycles of thankfulness. And he shares another incredible personal story here from his time in the ICU.
The heart rhythm one.
That's the one. He describes his heart rhythm actually returning to normal during a moment of intense gratitude and love he felt. It underscores this deep mind-body connection.
That's amazing. Gratitude having a direct physiological effect.
And beyond gratitude, social connections are emphasized for longevity. Recent research, like a study from UNC, found strong social bonds literally lower health risks across all ages. For teenagers, social isolation can increase inflammation markers as much as being physically inactive. For adults, strong networks protect against obesity. For seniors, isolation can be a bigger risk factor for high blood pressure than even diabetes.
Wow, so connection is protective.
Definitely. And interestingly, for middle-aged adults, the quality of social bonds seems to matter more than just the number of connections. Practical tips include things like having device-free days, making dedicated family time, really consciously nurturing those relationships.
Good reminders. And finally, cleaning up your physical environment.
Right. Because our skin is a major route for toxins to enter the body. Simple advice like avoiding plastic water bottles, especially certain types, those marked with PC or recycling labels 3, 6, or 7, opting for stainless steel or glass instead. Also, choosing USDA organic personal care products and cosmetics to avoid endocrine-disrupting chemicals, or EDCs. These EDCs can mess with your hormones, disrupt metabolism, and potentially contribute to weight gain. It's about reducing your toxic load from all angles.
It really is a whole life plan. Okay, so we understand the pillars. How do we actually put this into practice day to day? Let's talk practical steps. The diet edits seem key.
They are. The book uses this idea of a kitchen cleanout, dividing foods into a no list to evict, and a yes list of heroes.
Okay, let's hear the no list first. What gets evicted?
It's basically the staples of the standard American diet, unfortunately. All gluten-containing grains, wheat, barley, rye, spelt. That means most bread, pasta, pizza dough, cereals. All processed carbs, all forms of sugar, and the book warns there are over 60 different names for sugar hidden on labels.
60. Need to be a detective.
Pretty much. Also on the no list, most starchy root vegetables like beets, corn, potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, fat-free or low-fat packaged foods, unless they're naturally low in fat, like, say, berries. Often the fat is replaced with sugar or weird chemicals. And non-fermented soy products like soy milk or tofu. Fermented soy like tempeh or natto might be different, but generally non-fermented is out.
Okay, that's quite a list to evict. And what about those gluten-free products? Are they okay?
Need caution there. The book points out that many gluten-free breads or crackers just swap wheat flour for other pro-inflammatory starches like cornstarch, potato starch, or tapioca starch, so they might not be much better. And it also advises avoiding high-risk GMO crops, specifically calls out papaya, zucchini, and yellow summer squash, unless you can verify they're non-GMO, mainly due to that glyphosate concern we talked about.
Got it. Be label savvy, even with gluten-free. Okay, enough bad news. What's on the yes list? The heroes.
This is where it gets good. Focus on organic and non-GMO whenever you can. Embrace high-quality fats and proteins. Grass-fed, pasture-raised meats and poultry. Wild-caught fish. Pastured eggs. Fill most of your plate, like 3/4 of it, with fibrous, colorful, nutrient-dense, above-ground vegetables. Think broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, spinach, all the leafy greens. Enjoy low-sugar fruits. Avocado is a big hero here, technically a fruit. Also bell peppers, tomatoes, olives, berries in moderation. And incorporate healthy fats liberally. Extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, which is a great source of those MCTs. medium chain triglycerides, easy energy for the brain and body. Avocado oil, nuts, seeds. Filtered water is the #1 drink. Coffee and tea are generally fine
That
too.
sounds delicious, actually.
Nice.
Lots of whole foods. But what about protein? You said low carb doesn't mean high protein.
Exactly. That's a key distinction. This isn't Atkins from the 90s. The plan actually suggests a fairly moderate daily protein intake. Ballpark figures are around 46 grams for women, 56 grams for men, but it depends on activity level and size. The emphasis is on getting enough, but not excessive amounts, and getting it from varied, high-quality sources. It's about balance.
Right, balance. Now, what about cravings? If you cut out carbs and sugar cold turkey, that can be rough initially.
Totally normal. The source acknowledges you might experience temporary withdrawal symptoms, cravings, maybe feeling cranky, headaches, but it stresses these are usually short-lived, often just a few days to a week. Your body is just adjusting its fuel source. Strategies to cope include distraction, go for a walk, journal, listen to music, and crucially, be prepared. Have healthy snacks readily available, nuts, seeds, avocado, olives. Have pre-cooked meals ready so you're not tempted when hunger strikes. The book includes testimonials saying the cravings really do diminish quite quickly once you push through that initial phase.
Good to know it's temporary. Beyond diet, how do you track progress?
Monitoring is key. The plan recommends specific lab tests. Fasting insulin is a big one, ideally below 3 UI/UML. It's seen as a critical early warning for potential diabetes or even brain issues down the line. Fasting blood glucose, aiming for less than 95 milligdl. C-reactive protein, or CRP, which measures inflammation. The goal is less than 1.0 milligl. Homocysteine levels, high levels can be toxic to the brain, aiming for 8 milligl or less. Fructosamine is another blood sugar marker, and even if possible, a glyphosate urine test to see your exposure level.
Wow, okay, those give you real data points.
Exactly. They're not just abstract numbers. They're direct feedback from your body about how things are changing internally.
And journaling is also recommended, right?
Yes. Heavily emphasize. Food journals for planning meals and tracking what you actually eat. Helps with accountability and spotting patterns. Exercise journals for planning workouts, tracking intensity, maybe noting any pain or how you felt. The book even suggests incorporating tracking of daily habits like structured downtime or making sure you drink enough water. These tools just help you personalize the plan, see what works for your unique physiology, because we're all a bit different.
Right, tailoring it to yourself. It seems like mindset is a big part of this too.
Huge. Mindset and consistency. Fasting comes up again here. Even simple things like occasionally skipping breakfast or doing planned 24 to 72-hour water fasts seasonally. It's suggested not just for the metabolic benefits like rebooting insulin sensitivity and aiding weight loss, but also as a way to mentally prepare for dietary changes, to build discipline. And as we mentioned, fasting helps power up that beneficial NRF2 pathway.
So fasting has mental and physical prep benefits. And the overall message seems to be about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely. The book shares that you can often expect to feel positive effects pretty quickly, maybe within days or weeks. Things like less brain fog, better sleep, more stable energy, reduction in chronic pain or symptoms. The emphasis is definitely on striving for consistent progress, celebrating the small wins, not beating yourself up if you slip up occasionally, and having faith in your body's innate ability to heal and rebalance itself when given the right conditions. The testimonials really highlight significant improvements people experience quite fast.
That quick feedback loop must be really motivating.
It really is. The profound takeaway, the core message, is to appreciate that you are an incredibly self-regulating machine, and that consistent, conscious choices across diet, movement, sleep, stress, connection can unlock immense possibilities for your health and happiness.
So wrapping up today's deep dive, we've really journeyed through a powerful framework for health. We've explored how these seemingly small daily choices, what you eat, how you move, rest, connect, can profoundly impact things like inflammation, metabolism, gut health, even how your genes behave.
Yeah, it's definitely not just about avoiding certain foods or hitting exercise targets. It's about really understanding your body as this remarkably intelligent, self-regulating system, a system that's constantly listening and responding to the signals you send it. And that perspective shift really empowers you, doesn't it? It suggests you truly have the agency to steer your own health destiny.
It really does. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider this final thought. If your daily choices not only have the power to transform your own health and how long you live, but also carry this incredible potential to influence the health risks for your children, maybe even grandchildren, through those epigenetic changes. What one small conscious shift could you perhaps make today? What one step could you take to honor that profound interconnectedness and really start unlocking your body's amazing self-healing potential?